Okay, thank you so much for joining. I believe because of time, we just going to proceed with presentation. At least you get to gain some insights on what we were looking for this specific position, and at least some of the things that we are going to share are going to help you for future positions and applications, not only the ones that you are going to apply at GAP recruitment, but also for the ones that you're going to apply in other organizations. This is a system that we are trying to refine so that we can be able to give value and feedback to our candidates, at least so that despite the fact that they may not succeed in that specific job, they may also gain value and insight on how to refine their future applications. Now, recently we advertised a position that is a self-development manager role, which was a remote position offering a gross salary of 180 to about 250. And yeah, of course, for this role, it needed someone to do sales across the EMEA region, that is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And today we are just going to walk you through the job requirements, highlight the most common mistakes observed in the application, and share actionable tips to improve your chances, of course, in similar roles moving forward. And I believe I'll also touch on how maybe professional CV service can significantly boost your success in a competitive job market. So now this position was an excellent opportunity for experienced sales professionals, especially those who have done or have a background in remote outbound sales, and particularly in education technology space. So it was just a chance to age as a regional sales professional or a manager, and of course, developing performing sales teams. Yeah. Um, the key responsibilities, of course, were highlighted in the JD. Now, I thought maybe it's wise for us to at least give you some insight on what really happens the moment you upload your CV on our website, the processes that it goes through. Because if you understand what goes through at the back end, then you can easily, should I say, you can easily hack the system, or like you can just maybe better position yourself because you understand the processes that your applications will go through. And this is also a standard process for most of the recruitment firms, maybe also for some of the organizations. Now, the initial thing that happens during the selection process is once you upload your CV to our website, it goes through the CV screening, because the landing pad is normally our ITS system, which partly uses a technology called OCR, optical character recognition. So your CV should be scannable by the system. If it's not scannable, then it's not going to pick up the metadata and then group and classify and then rank your CV. So that is the initial phase. Of course, after the machine, we normally have someone we call sourcing strategist who now goes through the CV, sifting through and trying to analyze again if you fit for that specific role that we have advertised. So in the CV screening stage, we have the ATS, and then we have a sourcing strategist who is going to analyze. Those who are not fit for that specific role are pushed into a pool that we call applicant feedback, and that means you've been rejected for that specific position. So that is one. Now, those who are successful, the sourcing strategies, we call them, and then give, actually just call them and then ask them a few questions. And then if they demonstrate the capability as they have written in their CV, then they are given an interview schedule so that they can come in person or virtually, and then they can be able to conduct the interview. So that is on phone screening. Now, the next phase will, of course, be the interview, and we normally have two interviews. You will come and interview with our recruiter. If you're successful, then your name will form part of the shortlist that we forward to the client. Now, once you forward your name to the client will also have, because you find, will forward a short list of about 5 candidates, so the best of all those who applied, but maybe the client needs only one person. So you'll have another interview with the client now, and then the client will make a final decision of who to choose from the 5 shortlist of the best candidates. Now, that's just a preview so that you get what really goes on and the internal processes that happen in the background, and you can be able to better place or position yourself for such specific roles or when applying through agencies like Gap Recruitment. The next thing for this specific role, of course, what were the merit points that we were looking at when we were screening? Now, most of these was what we were looking at. And if you had them, you had high chances of proceeding to the next stage. Now, first of all, if you're going to sell in Europe, Middle East, and African markets, you need to have experience in remote outbound sales. So that was something that was really, really important for you to maybe proceed to the next stage. And the second one was the educational sales angle, because the client is in the education industry. The client is based in UK, and they wanted someone from Kenya to be the sales development manager for the EMEA region. Now, so if the client is in the education industry, it means that you should demonstrate being salesperson or having done sales in the education sector. Okay. Now, if you don't have the sales bit in the education sector, at least a strong demonstration of expertise in remote outbound sales. Yeah, because now mostly you will be managing teams remotely and also developing strategies for making sales for this specific company. But the most important one was demonstrating that you have had sales in education. Now there was these others. Your CV should have also demonstrated that you can manage and coach a small sales team, because now you're a development manager. Maybe you may not be the one implementing, but the strategies and all those other things, you're the one who was going to develop. Okay. And of course, all those other things, campaign strategy and execution becomes important because you're the one who is brainstorming and developing strategies that is going to help the firm make educational sales across the region. Okay. Yeah, so those are the key points that your CV should have highlighted almost everywhere so that so that it catches the eye of the sourcing strategies, and then they can quickly judge that you're the best candidate for that specific position. Now, these are really important things, and this only comes if you analyze the JD, because most of the time people do not analyze the JD and get to try to understand. Because, for example, you may not necessarily have done educational sales, okay? But there was some place where you were doing something related to educational sales. So that is where now you get to tailor your CV and demonstrate that, hey, here I was doing this, but this was related to educational sales that you're looking for. Okay. And all these other things. You're demonstrating that you can manage a small sales team and all these other things. Of course, also you can give the strategies that you have implemented and the impact that it brought in terms of either the revenue, improving processes, or solving any problem that was in that organization. Okay, now let's move at some bit of statistic. This is just a screenshot from our ATS system. We had 351 candidates who applied for this specific position. Just a minute, I admit someone. Okay. So we had 351 candidates. I said this is just a screenshot from our system. And so you can imagine 351 people applied. And out of these 351, we just need one person for this specific position. So it begs the question, like, what does it take for me to be selected for this role? Okay, because be sure you may be good in your own area of sales and stuff, but also remember we have other 350 something candidates who are very good also and are applying for the same position. So how do you stand out so that you can be selected to proceed to the next stage? I think I've given the initial tips, like the merit points that we were looking at. And those are normally on the JD. Because you see, before an organization advertises for an open position, they already have a problem in their organization. And they are looking for someone to solve that problem. Now, remember that if someone is going through your CV, they are looking for someone who can be the solution to that problem. Also remember that someone screening through your CV has never met you before. So they just have your CV to judge you. Now, it now begs the question, how do you position yourself so that they can see you're the best fit and you're the person who is going to solve the problem they have in the organization? Okay. And that problem for this specific position was educational sales, someone who can do remote outbound sales, someone who can manage the team, a small sales team, can do strategies that can help these companies make sales in the EMEA region. Okay. Yeah, so next time you make an application, don't just do it like in a hurry or like unafanya tu ndio upeane. It's a high time you just sit, read the job description, try to understand what is it that these people need, what gap do they have that I can be able to fill so that you can stay competitive. It's not like two people are applying, yeah, even if you're really good in your field, yeah, make sure that what you've been doing all along aligns with what they are advertising for or what they need. Okay, yeah. Now, next here, we also have some common mistakes that mostly, so these are just some tipping points. They can help you in future and also in making other job applications as you try to navigate your career. These are just other common mistakes that candidates normally make. We normally see some giving CVs that the summaries are generic and others giving irrelevant experience, poor presentation of responsibilities, lack of tailoring of the CV. Tailoring means like you align it to the JD. Okay, we understand you have done this, and that, but you just realign it and tell us how it relates to what we are advertising for. Okay, and then formatting and submission errors. Formatting comes in because I told you at some point we have a sourcing strategist who is reading. So just ask yourself, sometimes back we were told that you cannot read doctors' notes because they are normally sketchy. So it's a high time you also look at the formatting of your CV in terms of the structure, Are the paragraphs cluttering? Yeah. Is it easy to read? Because now you see for this step here, um, here on the CV screening by the sourcing strategist. The sourcing strategist normally has about maybe 1 to 2 minutes to scan through your CV. So they don't have all the time to read all the details in your CV. So if you hide your key achievements, you hide the most important things in paragraphs, yeah, and then those kind of fonts and stuff, then they don't have all time to read your CV. They just normally skim through, okay, and then anything that catches the eye, that is it. So you will want to really do a good formatting for your CV so that you get to position yourself. So these are just some of the things that I can tip you briefly because this was supposed to be a short webinar, but maybe in future, these are some of the things maybe you can also stop by, then we can be able to discuss in detail, or you can email Kimani, Steven, then you can get the conversation on. One of the other things that we noted for this specific application, this is just another screenshot from the system. 28 people submitted their applications late. So I think it's a trend that we have as Kenyans. We normally like the last minute rush, yeah. But it's really a good practice. For example, something that I've also seen here at GAP, normally, you see, we are on time to submit profiles to our clients. We normally have a deadline of about 7 days. So once the position is advertised, it's best practice for you to apply immediately, maybe as soon as you see the post, okay? Because now you find once there is an application pool, we start screening through the CVs. And we try to see if there is someone qualified. If there are, we proceed and move on with the application until that stage. If they are not, we keep waiting for the applications. So it's really a good practice for you to apply early so that you can be able to better position yourself to get that specific position, not only for GAP, but maybe in your future applications, because now you see these 28 candidates, they missed out on that. Okay. Now this is what I was saying, like generic CV summaries, like they are just general CVs. Now, the initial thing that I stated earlier in terms of the company advertising for a position, they normally have a gap that they need to fill. Yeah. And for this specific one, I've said they need someone in education and sales, someone who can do outbound sales, of course, remote outbound sales across this specific region. So your CV summary should demonstrate at least, even if you have not done educational sales, at least quote something and relate it, something that's related to educational sales that positions or that describes or shows that you can manage this specific role. That is one. Number two, it also needed someone who can do campaign strategies and things like that. You should also try to answer those things. Like you're telling them, hey, you have these problems, I'm the best fit. And how do you say you're the best fit? You describe yourself. Yeah, who you are. I'm a sales professional. What you do. Yeah, this is what blah blah blah. How you do it. So in those who you are, what you do, how you do it, and the key achievement that you've made should feature on your CV summary. And the way it's featuring, it's like answering the JD. Okay? It's like just saying you're flipping a coin, and then someone who had flipped wanted you to say it's head. Okay? So you try to use based on your experience, education, and expertise, you try to show that it's head or you are the head or something like that. Okay, so like for these, I said craft a clear role-specific summary that aligns with the remote, outbound, and educational sales leadership. Look at this person, sales development leader with 7+ years in remote outbound education, blah, 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 building and converting sales development representative teams, that way, that way, that way, that way. Now you can proceed there, give how you do it and the achievement that you normally make. And another thing is underselling the leadership experience. Okay. Now, if you just give short points, they do not relate to you. They do not demonstrate one, the impact that you made or the problems that you have solved or things like that. Yeah, so it's really important for you to highlight your role in terms of team performance, coaching, and the KPIs and things like that. So if you say product activation, loan processing, customer onboarding, and things like that. Okay, these are just short forms, but also there are the others which are a bit long, but still then you don't really get the impact this person has done. Now look at this sentence. Manage a team of 6 sales development representatives across 3 time zones, implemented KPI dashboards, and improved conversion rates by 30% over 6 months. So you get to see this person knows what he or she is doing. She has managed teams, he has implemented. You see, this is like solving a problem or implementing some strategies, and this is the impact. 30% conversions in 6 months. I said I think this was really important, and it threw many candidates out, like demonstrating that you have educational sales exposure. You may not necessarily have done it, but demonstrating that you have that educational sales exposure, or demonstrating that what you have done in sales is related to this one. Okay, so that was really, really important. Yeah. Um, the next one is what I had highlighted earlier. Sorry, weak formatting and generic CVs. So I think we are just used to a one standard CV, because now you should tailor your CV each time you're applying for a specific job. Because as I highlighted earlier, there are normally some key hard skills that specific job needs. And also for the summary, it's just like a short form of your cover letter. You're detailing that you're best for that specific position, or you're answering that, hey, this is what you guys need, I have it. Okay, so as I've written here, number one, the formatting. You see, if you have a poor format, the templates that you're using for your CV, then the ATS may not be able to scan. Okay, some companies are really serious on the ATS score for your CV and they use it. Others, they still let human to screen your CV even after the machine has screened them. Okay, so others you may find some columns table, or maybe using the templates that are not scannable by the ATS. Also, the organization. I said at some point, a human being is reading. You imagine they have 351 candidates they have to screen through, and that they need to be done maybe by 2 hours or 1 hour. So they not have all the time. They not have all the time to go through the paragraphs and things like that. So it's really important for you as a candidate to position your CV, let's say eye-catching. Yeah, when you look at it, is it eye-catching? So that if someone is going through in a minute, then they get the most important points and things like that. And of course, you tailor it to that specific position. Earlier on, I highlighted about CV screening. This is the initial filtering by the software. So this is just a screenshot I attached. You see the way the ATS is scoring the CV, 10%, 14%, 12, 5%, based on the job description and things like that. Okay, I'll not go through that. This one I highlighted on CV structure and formatting, as I've said. Keep your CV clear and structured, blah, blah, blah. I also thought that maybe for some people this can really be hard, and they maybe need some professional guidance. So you can seek maybe professional CV support to help you do a modern CV. Okay, because now you see the structuring of a modern CV, it's easy to read through and also mostly ATS friendly and things like that. And also it's eye-catching and appealing. Okay, so you can seek those services. They are going to help you. And actually, at Gap Recruitment, we have a department called CV Tab that is normally centered on helping job seekers with such services, including LinkedIn revamp and things like that. So maybe you can just pull a screenshot. This is the number for the CV Tab department. You can maybe screenshot and then you can just give them a call or an email, and I'll drop the email in the chat so that you can reach out to them. Alternatively, you can email Stephen Kimani, and he's going to direct you to that. But this is just a sample that was done by the CV tab department at Gap Recruitment. So you see, first of all, if you're the one going through this CV, just look at the summary. This is someone who is big in government, strategic finance and government governance expert, blah, blah, blah. So you see the headlines is appealing to his own expertise. Also lead the CV summary. It's not beating around the bush, giving things like I'm good in this or that. Yeah, they are really specific on their capabilities. Results driven, governance and policy expert with extensive experience, blah blah blah. Yeah. Look at also the key achievements. They are easy to see. They are not hidden in paragraphs or things like that. So if maybe I'm a recruiter, I'll just skim through the summary. And then these ones, definitely it's going to catch my eye, okay? Co-founded Hispania Muslim schools in Migori, providing full scholarship to 100, blah, blah, blah. Now, you see, these things, yeah, the recruiter may not really read all, yeah, but things like these are high catching. Yeah, it's just like about a minute, community outreach. You see, so you see the formatting, the structuring. So also here on the strengths. Now, if it was for that specific position, the first one here will be like maybe education on sales. And then maybe the second one here is team, sales team management. You explain how you do that, things like that. So you just try to bring what is in the JD and you try to give out or explain to them. So if the recruiter was looking for education or sales, it's easier for them to see it here as a title, yeah, rather than seeing it here on these paragraphs, locating it here on these paragraphs, okay? Yeah, so see also things like conferences. It shows that this is someone who is not local, but someone who is, yeah. So here it could be like how you've done regional sales or you've worked for regional companies and things like that. Industrial expertise, some of the things they are looking at. So you see, it's easy to locate, yeah, because I'll just screen through, blah, 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 then I'm done with it.